You who are listening and or watching, and we appreciate the time you are taking for this. The purpose of this workshop is to discuss the Summerville High School Stadium and to go into the areas that we feel needs to be communicated to our public, and any questions or any discussion that we can. This is a good place for us to have this workshop. And I know that Mr. Pye has planned to have some interesting things for us to go over, and board members at any time, please feel free to question. You can question anybody in the room if it's facilities, if it's our partners in this. Please just raise your hand, and after they're finished, make sure that you ask those questions. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Pye.
All right, thank you very much. Not quite sure where I want to start with this, so you're going to navigate the screen for me? Okay, very good. I'm going to sit right from here. I think this is better. I'm looking at the audience. I'd rather not be standing with my back to the audience, and we're all looking at the screen instead of each other. Today's workshop really was brought about, I guess, by concerns from a few councilmen have called me about various questions about our agreement and what we're doing and not doing. Just one or two of them. But all board members have had some conversation with me about what are we doing here and what we're doing there. Like I don't attend the meetings, South Magnolia group meetings, so I don't know any more than you would know, other than just on the surface, everything's going fine and we're all on the same page. However, from the questions I'm getting, that perhaps we're not on the same page, and we want to make sure that everything's clear. If there's anything out there, we push it forth so we can not hold up progress and get moving on, because this is something we've all indicated numerous times that we want and we want to see happen. So anything that we want that bad is worth us working hard to get it. I guess in the old days, or my whole career, things that looked easy were things that I dealt with easily. And that's when you get in trouble sometimes. You take for granted that everybody knows what's happening, and you find yourself cutting corners, you find yourself doing shortcuts. You don't remember to communicate the whole story to everybody that's involved. And these are the kinds of things I think could be happening to us. It seems like such a given that we're not trying to convince anybody to go with this. This is, everybody wants this. So it was easy, that part of it. Then what we decided to do, as we started initially, everybody had their weight in, but at the end of the day, these are all things we think that are important. But most importantly, what I heard was the partnership that would develop between the town, the county, and the school district. It's property that we own. We've owned this property since 1924. You see the thing, that Memorial Stadium there beside on the left, representing the past. The stadium's had a rich history down since 1924. It was rumored that perhaps the Exchange Club at one time owned it. The Exchange Club has never owned the stadium. And we've researched all the deeds and stuff. There's nothing. I've asked them if they can produce any kind of paperwork that indicates that, and no one seems to know. I think it was a gentleman's shake on the various agreements they had, and that, just like this, that there's things that's well-intentioned that sometime down through the years, it takes on different meaning, and it's hard to historically determine what really started when. So we don't want that to happen to us in this situation. The present timeline is that we were approached by Jimmy Tupper about an idea he had about trying to make the stadium more useful for Summerville High School athletic program and events, as well as possibly for the community. And we talked about that, and it sounded like such a great idea, totally different what Cahagan Park offers the town, and something we can offer the town. Our stadium, like I said, has been there for many years. Some would say it's old. Others would say it has that grandeur, splendor of a Notre Dame-type nostalgic stadium that has those bones. And it does. It has very good bones. And those are the bones that we want to keep and maintain as we maintain the history of the program, the legacy of John McKissick, and all the many things that have transpired there since 1924, when the old Summerville High School was located there in what later became the Rawlings School of the Arts. We have presently The stadium has had several additions, enlargements down through the years. I know we did the field some years ago. Just putting the grass was over $100,000, and I think that in itself was quite an investment because we had to work with the Exchange Club on that. They were mixed up with the Jumbotron. We did not do that. You'll have to realize that we're in a situation where we have 3 high school stadiums, and we're married to equity. What we do for one, we have to do for all. So therefore, the high schools are then, if their booster clubs want to do something extra, then that's on their booster club. In the case of Somerville High School, they had their little booster club, plus they had the Exchange Club, and now they got the partnership. So they've got multiple partners helping them to achieve things that we could never think of offering the other schools. I want to make that disclaimer right off. The school district is putting no money into this. The stadium property, with enhancements that we have done and with parking that's coming in with the facilities that we're putting in place there, should approach $5 million worth. So that's our investment in this. The history that we have, the total dependence that we have of busing athletes across town to this stadium to use it. So we're satisfied with it. Could it be better? By all means. Is it usable for a community space in its present condition? Absolutely not. I don't think you could sell many tickets. We have to do some work. So that's where the creative juices have been flowing, and several of the suggestions and ideas may have changed from time to time from the original conversations that we had in different places throughout town as this subject came up, because it was so much enthusiasm. It was almost a contest, who could have the better idea. Jimmy said, we're going to put this here. Mr. Pye says, we're going to need 3 of those. Can we do 3 of them? Jimmy's going, I don't know if I can raise that kind of money. I said, we're going to have it. We can't half do this, Jimmy. So I'm as guilty as taking this simple plan, and one time it was to the tune of over $6 million to do everything we thought needed to be done. It's been scaled back tremendously, as Mr. Tupper had informed me that, and talking to some of his friends in the Charleston group as far as architects and all, they gave him advice of why would you want to rebuild the stadium. I wouldn't change it unless if something had to be changed for safety and just overall appearance. We don't try to get in there and reinvent the wheel, because you're going to have half new, half old, and it's going to look that way. Let's kind of keep the theme and build on it and make it as usable and safe as possible, but keeping as much in place as we can. And I think that's the latest plan from what I gather, and that's why we've had some changes. And that's why the Astroturf piece for the future was not to come to maybe another year or 2 or 3 years. It's now back on the back burner because the funding they had to begin this year, they completed the projects that needed to be done, and we're going to postpone a few of them. Instead, now they have the funding, or just about have it, to do the Astroturf. And so that is something we need to be talking about further, about the specifics of that, since we've zeroed in on that. We've had some, but I don't think we've ever had any kind of final discussion, and I know they're anxious to get out some prices or get prices back in, which I think they may have, but be able to select somebody and get started in a timely fashion. So next are our players. These are the 4 major players in this deal. Dorchester School District 2, Dorchester County, Somerville, the town of Somerville, and the South Magnolia Event Group, who has representation from the district, the county, the town of Somerville, our facilities director, which gives us 2 people on the council, everybody else with 1, and South Magnolia Event Group leader, one of the leaders, Jimmy Tupper, who founded the idea. So that's the 5 people that's been appointed to sort of oversee this and work through the details, get the pricing, make sure the building's according to standard, and all, and keep us informed back at the 3 entities about how we can continue to work together.
Mr. Pye,
Yes.
could you tell us who established the South Magnolia and who's on that?
All right. The South Magnolia Group was really an idea of probably the town of Somerville, I think, might have started that. Is an idea, a way they can have accountability. I'm not sure in one of the meetings I had with you, Mayor, but does it? Yeah, I knew somebody said we had to do it, but it was your idea.
Protect everybody that was
It is.
involved in it, so we had a group and had an insurance policy we were told to buy, so everybody's protected, in the group.
Okay.
Everybody in your group?
Yeah, everybody in South Magnolia was in the group, who brought came to the table,
Okay.
they wanted to be part of it. We talked one afternoon on who would be on it, and then instead of it running through the beginning like chat or, the DD2 Foundation, we decided to start our own.
Yeah.
And then we decided that we need to use an insurance policy, everybody's covered.
So you five are four of the ones that's on there?
Okay.
There's us three, right now, Brian Rutherford and Tony Toles, and Brian Rutherford's on it until y'all put, school deliver on.
And that will be me.
So can I ask something? So when you say everyone's covered, you mean all entities? So that's the school? No.
Has their own insurance policy, just basically, the insurance policy, anything we build, we have an insurance policy on top of that.
So anything,
So we can't be held personally liable.
so the members of the group, the people who sit on that board? Gotcha, thank you.
Jimmy, you are a 501c3, this group, and you have the tax ID and everything that, so it is a legitimate group.
Paul Lynch, Morgan Allen, and Charleston set it up, and, the moment he sets up, you're considered a 501c3, and it's all through the paperwork, we've paid over $11,000 out already, $8,000 to his firm, and $3,000 from the insurance policy.
Thank you.
So going along with that, South Magnolia Group has their chairman, I believe that is you, Jimmy, or is it Eddie? It's Eddie. Eddie is the chairman of the group. This is the 5 members, 4 voting members, right, or 5 voting? 5 a total. Okay, and they do have agendas, and they do have minutes. They've had at least 3 formal meetings that I've seen, so that we've just gotten that today, so they've gotten that to us. All right, moving on. All right, this is definitely a team approach, and that's why we're here tonight. It's going to take every one of us. See those Clydesdale horses? You take one of them out there, they won't be quite as effective. They'll be off balance. They're trained to go in pairs, and if they have horses behind them, and the 2 lead horses know who they are, they have their positions, and anyone out of position, just like on a team, it throws the whole team. So it's coming together is the beginning. We already have that beginning. We've come together. We've got our plan in motion. Keeping together is progress, and that's what's so important, that we keep the focus on the target of what we're trying to do. And then working together is what makes it successful, and Henry Ford had that. You can see the Clydesdale horses are pulling a wagon. I like to think those horses are all of us. It's the South Magnolia Group, it's County Council, Town Council, and our school board working together, pulling the cart or the wagon, which is the project, is the stadium project. Look, coming around the track, there they are racing. The horses are leading the race. The wagon is being drawn by the horses. The horses are leading the way. They can't win unless what? Both of them go across the finish line. And the cart can't go before the finish line without the horses. The horses can't win without the cart being hooked to the horses. So they're bound together for the success of the project, of what they're doing. And of course, we see when something goes wrong, the wagon is flipping over. And of course, the final one, which that was a little closer, the wagon is separated from the lonely horse. I don't know which one of those that might be. That's probably Eddie. And it's saying, now what? Where do I go? And we don't want that. We don't want that to slip up at all. So in the little questions we're getting now, it's customary type of anything that you're doing that's exciting, that's a community type project. People are going to ask questions. We just need to be on the same page of the answers that we give, so people see how transparent we are, how excited we are, and still be open for suggestions. Someone may throw something in your lap we had never thought of, and willing to do it and donate the money to have it done. And that's the kind of miracles we're looking to make this really sing, all right? So there's the stadium partnership. We have our plays. We decide on what agreements we need to put in place to make the things happen, how we're going to have accountability back to the 3 units that are sponsoring this, through the minutes and the approved budgets and those kinds of things. The school district does own the property, And as if this is sort of like a lease or rent, it's not really, but it would be like if you were leasing or renting property. Any enhancements to that property needs to be cleared with the owner. Even if you're paying for it, it needs to be the way the owner thinks it would enhance the property and not take away from it. And I think that's why it's important that we have a plan and we try to stick to it. And if we don't, we all know about it, we know why, and we continue to move on to finish the new plan, because we want to keep it flexible, because as funding is available and not available, it may determine what course of action, such as the last turn of events, may happen again. Yes, we need everybody on the team to be thinking, not just asking questions of concern, but let's be creative. How can we build into this program everything we would want while they're doing it? We're starting from scratch. And Jimmy is only so, has so much to offer us with this. He's very excited. We can help take his ideas and fine-tune them even more to take them to the next level. So as we know and learn about the project, we can share that. And of course, there's accountability. The lens is there. We have to keep accountability in line so we know what's happening. Okay, and with that accountability, I did want to answer a couple of questions. I know one of the board members, you asked me about what was the upkeep of the stadium. We went through and tried to find everything since 2008. And since 2008, we have spent, was it 400 and something thousand? 375 plus the maintenance. That counted the maintenance, monthly maintenance too? No, the average maintenance of Sunville High Stadium is $72,000 a year. We wash it every year, just about. We paint it every year. When we put those seats in on 2 different occasions, the grass and the sprinkler system, the goal post, and all the things that have been done. Of course, I counted the Exchange Club's contributions also, because that was part of enhancing the stadium. So the maintenance right now is at $72,000, just being used as a sports facility for football only. So as we grow that and we think of more grandiose ways to offer it to the community, I look for that maintenance cost to be higher, and that could be an issue, but we are paying a good bit to maintain the stadium. And of course, in my case, I want to throw it out, I'm paying that times 3, because I have 2 other stadiums. They're not in the shape that Somerville is, but you ask either one of those principals, their list is longer than Somerville's list could ever be. And so it's just constant need for new fencing, new paving, new bleachers, new this, new that, new scoreboards. It's just every day it's something going on with these fields, and we spend a lot of money on it. We have a contract too that might not have to be used if we have the Astroturf, the fellow that does those fields and stuff. We pay a pretty penny to have those fields groomed for all during the summer and during football season. Keep it green and pretty. Okay, is there another one? Our partnership, I guess, phase 1 agreement we had, that's where we are, and that's why we're here tonight. I guess I felt like this was the opportunity for the partnership to tell us, or tell the board what you want them to hear about an update of what has been completed. What have we done so far at Sunville High Stadium this year? Because most of the things you did were things we normally would be doing in our maintenance. So we didn't have to spend that $72,000, at least not this year. That's already been covered with what they've done. So take away the field care, which if we do change it to something else, then that field care could end right away. And so we saved a lot of money on the whole year.
But
Right, so
we've maintained it up until just a month or so ago.
Yeah, we've maintained it up to
Yeah,
2
so
weeks ago, probably.
yeah. We paid the majority of that 72,000.
Yeah, we have. We probably have already done it. You're right. Because we don't do that much during the winter. Now, we start seeding and doing all kinds of stuff in the spring, and, we're out there watering every day whether it needs it not. So we put a lot of care into it. Of course, we paint the stadium almost, I don't know of a year that we missed. We might have missed 1 year somewhere. But it gets so ugly after 1 year because we've never painted it right. We've never done it with a quality. I hope the painter's not listening. We've not paid the money that's needed to do it right. And I think that's what happened this year, is that it was finally done right. And so hopefully it'll hold up longer, and we don't have to do that every year.
Mr. Pye, do we have an idea of how much we would save annually if we had didn't have to do that upkeep?
Tina, do you have that? $10,000 for the maintenance contract.
Per year.
The painting of the building is what? We pay normally every year, what, 10,000 on that? 8,500.
Sure,
It adds up to 72,000, but my guess is,
but we
If-
wouldn't save that full amount. I'm saying, how much would we save if we didn't have to do if we had the AstroTurf instead and we didn't have that type of upkeep? Do we,
that's where most of the expense would be. I'd say probably at least 25 a year, don't you think? On the AstroTurf.
What it is, it's the $10,000 we pay the guy to keep the field up. The guy cuts it 3 to 4 times a week. You run the sprinkler, and the guy paints every week during football season.
That's true.
Those are the main things that are.
So it could easily be 25,000.
Are there,
Probably
Jimmy-
half that amount.
Jimmy, are there any, for the turf, do you have to replenish, so I know like the beads and everything in there, is that stuff that you have to replenish over time?
So that's what we're researching right now, like Rico with the actual rubber beads, like,
We're getting ahead of it.
they'll have an 8-year thing, there's a new.
Jimmy, can you please, because it's being
Aren't we
streamed, can
getting
you come
ahead
up
of where
here?
we need to be with we haven't gotten to the turf part yet. We're still on phase one. Actually, Justin, we're still at phase one. It wasn't about the turf,
All day.
correct?
Well, it's not maintenance, but maintenance wise, it's really just, we're gonna buy a golf cart, if the race goes behind it, you don't have to do it after every game, with so many hours to play on it. And then, if we wanna cool down the field, we'll have a water wheel set up on both ends, what we're gonna do, and you can actually use the water wheel to cool down the field, but you only have to do that when you want to. So if it's cool outside, you don't have to cool down the field earlier that day. The difference is the field gets hot being synthetic. What's the best scenario to use in our situation? There's a new product out that they don't think you don't even have to maintain. With the natural fibers, you have to water it regardless if you're on it or not, so those fibers don't break down in the infill part. The rubber pellets, you do not have to water. There's a new version out that's a natural thing they mine off the ocean floor that they want us to try, and they don't have to maintain it at all. So if we're not there, we don't water it, period. And if we want to water it, we go there Thursday, run the water wheels, which take about 3 hours, and then shut them down and move them, and that's it. So it's really raking the field afterwards, which is really driving as fast as you can with a golf cart with the rake behind you.
So is this like the 4th generation or 5th generation? You had mentioned
This
that.
is, so the one we want is called Iron Turf, and we're getting a deal on it right now if we can act, in the next month or two. And so they'll offer us a 10-year warranty versus everybody else offers an 8-year warranty. So the life expectancy of this field is probably, they're saying anywhere from 12 to 14 years, where everybody else is 10 to 12 years. So we're getting a longer lasting field. It's the same field the New England Patriots just put on their practice facility.
Now, have you gotten other companies? You just looking at one or?
I got several, like 3 companies, and then we are gonna bid it out publicly, but that's the one that Richland County just did it on all 4 of their fields. So we're kind of following what Richland County just did.
What other items did we complete this summer?
This summer was basically the painting, we fixed the fencing around on the stadium, adjusted a few for the band, which they weren't there this year, changed all the lighting out. The lighting in around the back of the stadium, all the wall lighting, we spent about $25,000 on it, and then painted everywhere, put air conditioner in the bathrooms, changed the lighting there. Those are the biggest items we did.
Did you do the bathrooms?
Yes,
And it took you how long to do that?
we probably did it in 45 days, everything we did.
And who is we?
South Magnolia Event Group, and the people we hired to come in to help.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for Jimmy while he's up here?
Any incomplete item? What were some of the incomplete items that we moved out of the plan maybe to make, and then that's why we added back the AstroTurf?
So we were gonna do the bathroom, but then once we got finished renovating the bathrooms, we realized they were fine and we could use them. That's when we had the architect out, friend of mine, that said, don't try to build something you're not when we're trying to build versus like what Spartanburg just built at their facility. We can't compete against that. So then where we can compete is the bathrooms are up to speed and good now, so we wanted to push the money towards the turf because that was really the linchpin of the whole item. And we actually have enough money as of raised right now and promised to us to do the synthetic turf, which is somewhere right around $725,000. So it's ready to go.
That's the whole thing.
Yes,
The
sir.
cement and all that stuff. Is it gonna increase the playing field to the point that we can,
So we're gonna take out the chain link fence on the home side and put about 6 more feet in the field, which I've talked to Brian Rutherford and Kenny, think we can get soccer back over there. And we're gonna tag the field to where you won't see the soccer lines, but you'll be able to do a temporary paint for soccer. And we're also gonna do lacrosse. So we have
that's
to pick up
gonna be
lacrosse.
fantastic. And band
Yeah,
competition.
well, we're gonna put the lines on the field for those, but yeah, it'll have band competitions but that's just open.
Okay.
Can I ask something else? And I apologize because I don't have the agreement in front of me. So what things are we not doing as part of the phase 1 agreement?
The only thing we
move
didn't do in
towards the turf?
phase 1B is what I was told, we didn't put the air conditioning in the press box, we put it in the bathrooms instead. That was off of 1B that we didn't do. The original agreement was 1A was the bathrooms, and we canceled those altogether, the new bathroom. So everything else we did do, and more, actually. We bought flags for the stadium, things like that to spruce it up for the game time this year. New banners, new signs,
So how much did you spend in phase 1?
$164,000.
And where did that money come from?
The town gave us 150 and 14,000 came from me,
Came from where?
me.
The town is putting the other 150 in this week so we can pay the adjustment.
Where is the 300,000 that the county put in?
It's still at the school at this point. They were sending it back to the county. It was over at the school was sending it back to the county, and the county's supposed to issue it to me once all the agreement stuff's settled out.
You want, she might know where that money is.
Yeah.
Yes, the county did already send that money over to the district when the first agreement was initially signed. We've been holding it in a separate account because we had not started construction on the bathrooms. And that would be if an amendment to phase 1 were to be approved, then the district would return that money to the county and it would be put into South Magnolia Event Group for the Astroturf rather than the building of the bathroom. So that money is with the district right now, just being held in a separate account, awaiting the finalization of agreements.
In addition to that, too, in the last, in addition to that as well, in the last county council meeting, we were able to provide an additional 50 grand to help along with the town with getting us across the goal line, if you will, for the turf installment once approved by the school board, county, and town. So 350 total from the county, and at least that from the town, maybe 400 from the town,
Soon to be 375.
375.
Early next week.
And-
Another 75 on top of 300.
And that's earmarked for the turf.
If we vote on that, right? If we decide on that? Yeah.
Say again?
If we decide to do turf.
Yeah, ultimately, yes, but if that's not the case, then
The Exchange Club, I know they have had a lot to do with, in the past, are they in any way, and they're not here, so maybe we shouldn't even go there, but are they providing any help?
Not right now. They're trying to pay off their scoreboard, and we all
Okay.
understand that. So when I say scoreboard, the Jumbotron. So we're trying to let them work on that, not worry about them at this point in time. We've met with them 4 or 5 different times. We meet with them regularly just so we don't leave them out either. And, so yeah, they know what we're doing and they're on board and working with them. We just gotta make sure they get their Jumbotron paid off, and then they're willing to help as fast as they can. but they still owe a pretty good bit on that. So.
They are invested in trying to help us with the fundraising
Yeah,
part
yeah.
with the public that we have. Mr. Fry mentioned earlier that we've got.
It does help. That way people listening out there can hear you.
I couldn't decide whether to go under or over. You can
You took the
understand.
higher ground, we like that.
Mr. Pye mentioned earlier that there are, there are 3 partners in this, the school district, the county, and the town. There really are 4. Because this is a significant fundraising event, so the public is very much a 4th partner in this deal. We would not have the funds for the turf were it not for the fundraising part of this. We do not have that money from just town and county, so we've already gotten enough money in from individuals to do the turf. So there are 4 horses on this thing, not just 3.
All right, we found the 4th horse. I knew we would.
So basically, there would be no debt in going forward if we have the turf. It's paid for.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Our goal is for right now, the turf, with people that told me they will help with money and stuff like that so far to date. We have enough for the field, but we have to do new fencing around it, which that's covered in it too. So we're going to do the statue. So we're initially planning to raise enough for this phase, right at another $60,000, because we got to get the statue in there too. So that's kind of where we are right now. I grabbed the wrong sheet, but I have it all broken down on where we are fundraising-wise.
I'm going to ask a stupid question, but is the other 4 groups, or, 4 groups that are involved, are they not concerned? They're still giving money or earmarking money for us, and the school board hasn't even approved the contract yet? Are they not concerned about that at this
When you say other
point?
4 groups, I mean, it's people that we talk to.
Well, I'm talking the town, the county, because the county just gave more money, or just earmarked more
Yeah.
money. And then the public, who is donating money or earmarking money to be donated. I'm just wondering, because we haven't finalized the agreement yet, and it seems like we may be putting the cart before the horse at this point. So I'm just asking the question. I mean, has nobody even mentioned that?
No, I'm assuming it'll get passed. I'm hoping, we're trying to move at the speed we can to get it moving, and maybe we did put it before the horse, and I apologize. But I mean, we got to strike while the iron's hot, to me, and that's when people hear about it and ask me about it, that, people are stopping me on the street. It's not, I mean, people are coming out of the woodwork. I got a phone call from somebody that gave me a huge amount of money. Like, I wasn't expecting that at all, but I'm not going to sit there and say, I need to wait.
Right.
Chris,
Yeah. So yeah, so right now, when you pledge money, it's to put your name on Coach McKissick and Joan McKissick's statue, and then eventually the new gates once we get it. So it is tied to part of the renovation of the gates with the new arch we want to put on the Rawlings side. So your name could go on that, but mainly it's the main fundraising is on the statue itself. So it's not tied.
I certainly understand your situation, and I don't blame you. If somebody come
Yeah.
to me and wanted to give money or wanted to earmark money, I would too. I'm just asking if they're not asking the question because there hasn't been a final contract that's been signed or whatever by the school board. And so I was just wondering if they were asking a question, why that hasn't happened, or if there's a reason.
For the county, because and probably it's similar for the town, but if the school district doesn't agree to it, then the money returns to the county and town.
I have a question there also, according to what Ms. Tupper was saying. Excuse me, I was thinking Tupper. Talking about money, I understand that you also sent a bill to the district
I sent a bill? No.
for $9,000. Who sent the bill for $9,000?
Tony, did you bring us a bill? You, Tina, who has a bill? We don't actually have a bill. That was just a statement sent for our knowledge.
What,
The list of expenses. I know is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about that I was told that we had gotten a bill for over $9,000 for work that had been done. So now, whoever the miscommunication from us, because I just wanted to know, and it was from him, I understood.
I think we asked for their minutes, their agendas and stuff. I think we were sent an itemized expense. That's it. And you showed it to me, and it came to the 164,000.
Yeah, so we have everything.
That's,
The date, itemized, we keep track.
must be on there.
The date I write the checks and the date people give me money. No.
No,
Right,
the
where'd
bill
that
has
come-
not been sent to us, because we're not paying anything in this.
Well, these are the reasons why I think it's important to have this workshop. And
Yeah.
to go to what Eddie has said and you have said, I have been in situations where I've been backed in a corner where there's been large groups of people, well, pretty large groups, that said, I cannot believe that you are spending money, because in the paper and on the news, it is saying the district, people are saying the district is spending a lot of money on it. And they go, how dare you do that when we need extra teachers and we don't have enough money for things? And that's why this workshop is important. So people, it can be cleared that we aren't, that this is what you're bringing to us.
Yeah.
The county, the town, those who are raising funds. So it clears us, because obviously our priority would be to teachers and to help children. So you are bringing this to us, so it's understood by everybody.
Okay, perfect. We are not asking you for a dime.
And I'm
Thank
not
you.
making this up, because somebody told me that we'd gotten a bill of
So is
over
there something
9,000.
on that sheet that was 9,000?
I don't know, because it was told to me, because how else
The
would I have
only
known
thing
it?
we went through that
might
y'all
have
would
been
have had, we used y'all's, contract with Tony on, he gave me contact to Maynard Fence, but I paid that on my credit card.
Okay.
$9,000?
Yeah, it was probably almost 8.
And
That
so
must
you
have been-
ask us to send you the,
No?
Maybe it is on this listing that Mr. Tupper is talking
But that's
about
the only
with
thing
the,
I can think of we went through.
with his name on
y'all's
here.
Contact with, right? Yeah.
I'm sure we asked to see
Yeah.
I'm
what
not gonna call a
expenses
name
are they
here,
incurring, where you spend the money, and that's
Yeah.
when the list was given to Tina, Tony, somebody gave the list.
Yeah, I gave it to Tony.
Yeah.
Then Tony gave it to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah, I
Go
made
ahead,
this
Tony.
in 3, like we wrote checks
With
3
no
different times.
explanation. Just gave the list, no explanation.
Yeah.
So the district
So
hasn't
the
been
super
billed
bill.
anything.
Sorry.
The only thing we did was provide Mr. Tupper with a contact. We have a contract with Maynard Fencing or Maynard Builder Supply for all of our fencing needs. And we got a really good deal with Maynard Fencing. And when I told Jimmy, I said, hey, we've already got a vehicle in place procurement-wise that we could use.
That's good.
And that's where we went that way. And then Jimmy paid that out of Southern Magnolia Group.
Okay.
okay, I'm not gonna call any names sitting here, but now, you know that somebody here told me that we'd gotten a bill of over $9,000. And I questioned it then, and I said, why would we be getting a bill when we're not paying anything? So now, I'm not gonna call names, but you know who you are, because I didn't make this up, and I didn't pull it out the sky, and I'm not gonna be sitting here made the fool of. But now, somebody told me that we had gotten a bill from
Well,
you.
whoever said it, I apologize for them, from me, but we're telling you now, it was not a bill. That's the whole purpose of the meeting, because there's so many rumors and things out there, and we're making big decisions on junk stuff. And I think we're trying to clear the air of that, and it was presented to us, and somebody thought that they were turning the bill in. That could have been a misunderstanding, because there was fees on there about what, and there was questions, because you said 150, it went over to 164. I know we had that light discussion among me and the CPA who handles this stuff. But outside of that, I don't know, just in discussion, we talked and said that there was, that we had the bills coming in, that there were bills there. And because I think somebody asked, have they done the work? Who's paying for the work? And I think that perhaps that's maybe what happened. Somebody, it could have been me, exposed the list and said, we have a list of what they're doing. It's there. And you asked if I approved it, and I said, no, I haven't seen it. I've heard of these things, but this is the first thing, but it's within the guidelines of what they were supposed to be doing. And I don't know if it should have been 7,000, 4,000, 2,000.
The only thing we did above and beyond is we went and painted the other bathroom, which we didn't talk about. We put the air conditioning in, the home side bathrooms, and we bought the flags and the banners.
Okay, and we're talking about phase 1.
Phase 1B. Phase 1A was the whole new bathroom. So 1B, when I got approved for that, was 150 grand. I went over that and spent 160 something thousand dollars, and I paid the rest.
All right. Christie, the contract that you shared with us,
Okay, we can't speak about contracts until we go in executive session. Is that right,
no, I'm
Christie?
talking about the one that she's already presented. I'm just gonna ask
Okay.
a question in a minute.
Okay.
The question, the contract that you presented to us was phase 1 only, correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's phase 1 divided into 1A and 1B. So I think, do you guys have a copy of the contract now?
Yes.
So if you flip to the last, third and second to last page, you'll see the third to last page, Exhibit A, is phase 1A. That's the bathroom renovation that did not happen. That's what they're asking, that money be transferred over to the Astroturf. The second to last page, Exhibit B, is phase 1B, which is the information that Mr. Tupper is explaining as to whether or not it was completed.
Did we have this phase B when you first gave this to us
Yes, ma'am.
on here?
That's why South Magnolia Event Group was created to handle those functions. And at the time, the district was going to be the contracting agency for building the bathroom. And so that's why it's separated into A and B, because we were going to handle the bathrooms through our procurement and with us as the contracting entity. And that's why the money came to the district. But now that money has not been spent because there's a request to change that usage of that funds, which is why we're looking at an amendment to the agreement, which is what we'll discuss in executive session.
So for the record, District 2's paid not one penny for anything, whether it was a bill turned in or no bill turned in. We are aware of work being done, but was in the scope of the original agreement, and nothing that I know of is out of order with those numbers. We had not had an explanation till tonight, and so, you know, when you don't have an explanation, sometimes people add their own. But there was no intention to do anything except to bring it out and clarify it so it's no longer an issue, because we don't want to sit and argue about, you're charging us something when you didn't do it.
Right.
And with that as well, just to clarify, to back up with the research that whomever you're speaking with regarding the comments, it's very clear from both news articles that the county's contribution and the town of Somerville's contribution, no mention of the district contributing funds other than the proposed parking lot for project improvements and capital funds. So that's from Live 5 News and the Post and Courier. I'm looking at right now. I'll send you both the articles, just so you can pass
Thank
those
you,
along to your
because-
folks
Because that's not the
as
way
well.
people took it, and it really wasn't the way I took it, and I
Right.
thought we probably should clear the air so
Sure.
everybody
That was an
knows.
early article, way before these.
Yeah.
There was an
There
article a
was.
month ago, maybe. 2
There
months.
was.
We could definitely make it clear
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going on. There's no.
And again, it's
argument in
good just for those folks listening and participating via the web, so that it is crystal clear, just so, you know, for transparency
For
purposes.
sure,
So, and
absolutely.
just to further clarify, the $300,000, is that going to happen anyway, regardless of this project? No, for our part, for the parking lot. Yes, so that
Parking-
has nothing really to do with this project. That was
Right.
approved earlier already, has
Yeah,
been
the parking
approved with
lot's
the referendum.
1.3 million.
Right.
Right.
That was
Yes.
gonna be done
So,
regardless.
because I've had a lot of people ask me about that, and I think that's where some of the confusion lies. So just to get that out there for everyone to just to
Yeah,
clarify.
that was gonna be done
That's
Well-
happening
Yeah,
anyway.
Mr. Farnsworth
Just to
pointed out
clarify
me
that-
it was for the district office, SES, and SPAN was mentioned in the first time when y'all voted on it. It was pointed out that that's who it's for. It's not, didn't mention for the stadium. It's a benefit for the stadium, but it's for the teachers and the school administrators.
Right. so
And
I-
where some of that confusion may have come as well, in the initial discussions, we were asking the district to contribute the same amount as equal partners, and Mr. Pye, in one of those initial, meetings we were having, said, in essence, look, due to certain, and Tina, you may help clarify this, that wasn't an option, but that you guys were going to be taking care of the parking lot, and that would technically be, the contributing factor. But again, no crossover in funding or one
And
hinges
even
on the
that
other.
money that we're spending is not a decision that was made now, because I think a lot of people
That's
are
correct.
confused by
Years
that.
ago.
No,
Right,
no.
years
That's
ago.
correct.
So we're
That
not
was part of
choosing
the
at this
referendum
time with
money.
everything going on to spend $300,000. That decision has been made.
That-
And I think we just need to make sure that everyone in the community understands that as well.
They
Correct.
came
The
with
referendum money is where that money's coming from for the
Right.
parking
Right,
lot.
when they
Right.
first came with the idea, they had the parking in there, which made that amount so big. It was something that should have been there. And I know we talked about it, the referendum, and Allison did tell us that there was like $1 million set aside for the parking. Well, it's gonna exceed that because we're now putting in a bus loop at Somerville Elementary to get the buses off of Main Street. That's probably several $100,000. So that's why we know it could be between $1 million and $1.5 million. Has nothing to do with football. It's just that on the weekends and at night, it's empty. And it would be a great something to be used, and that would be part of our partnership to say that can be rented out or used out, just like anything else we do, the farmer's market. Something else could be put back there. It'd be a nice facility for that. But it's really there for district office, overflow parking for events that we have there, as well as for the employees, and then, of course, overflow for Silver Elementary, span, but most importantly, that bus loop. It just happens to, it's not going to be even the parking that we'd hoped it would be. He had a design that had 3 times the parking. The way we're having to do it with the loop and everything else, it's going to be reduced somewhat, but it's still better than a field that's sitting out there. But it's really for district use out. The stadium just happens to be located there, not because we chose to do it for the stadium.
To add on to what Ms. Robinson said a while ago, we already had gotten phone calls from teachers saying, you know, we can't get any more money, but yet y'all are gonna spend money. Some of y'all said that too. We've gotten, so it wasn't clear. And-
Right, it definitely was not clear. I'll
Yeah,
agree with that.
because the teachers are concerned that we would spend money and yet we can't give them a raise. And there's a lot of talk going on about even the city and the county having so much money to spend, but they're not getting a raise, and that's something that's very important to our teachers. But you can spend money on other things.
Can I just move on just a little bit, and if I'm getting ahead, stop me, but just so that we have the information, how long will it take the Astroturf to be ordered, everything put down and prepared and ready?
Well, we'll probably try to get it, it takes 10 days to get it out and advertising the bids back in, a few weeks for us to decide which ones we want to do. And then so hopefully, I mean, you're not looking any more than January, February, and it's 2 months from start to finish once they go to install it.
Okay.
So,
Again, what Ms. Hughes said is, we haven't decided on a contract. And I don't think any more work should go forward, period, until a contract is decided on. And I mean signed, sealed, and delivered. Because things are being done that we have not heard about. Things have been done that we have not approved or disapproved. And from this point on, that would be what I would suggest, until we get a signed and sealed contract, that all work stop.
no work's going on right now. Hasn't been going on
Okay.
since September.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Pye, do you have some more?
Are you through with the questions?
Is everybody
All right,
done?
flipping to the last slide, we'll try to wrap this up. So our next steps, I think we just heard one right there, whatever agreement we're gonna be moving to, and finalize whether we for the Astroturf or not. That's very important to the planning, and the whole scope of the entire project has been changed around that, so that's a vital piece of something that needs further discussion, to make sure there's no questions still left with that. I feel we were very successful tonight in clearing up some issues that were out there. I know you and I just talked about one as late as Friday, and it was just, I saw exactly where you were coming from, but it wasn't, it was so obvious that was what it was, and it wasn't. So it's just, it's things like that just, it's hard to explain, so I appreciate that. Terry, you had something?
Well, just a couple of things. To answer the question, we hope your executive session is about allowing us
Yes, sir.
to go forward. I understand the concern of not doing more stuff, but from the town's perspective, we've invested $300,000 in this and have committed another 75 because we believe in what it is. Y'all have raised questions about teachers and salaries and concern and confusion. The purpose of the event group is to create a fundraiser, not so much through the event group in the stadium itself, but what it brings to the community, which is going to benefit the town, the county, and the school district. So that's what really all of this is about. There's a tremendous amount of trust from our perspective. That's why we put it here. We put the money up. We think it's a great way to move forward. It's a great way to draw the entities together. You know, a little aside, the school district, y'all probably don't even know this. The school district came to us and said, hey, y'all have got Doty Field, the tennis courts at Doty Field. We don't have a place for our girls' tennis team to play. We didn't come up with 4 or 5 contracts of how to do it. We contacted Amy Evans and said, can we work this out? Yeah, we can let them use it. That's great. What a great way to use the tennis courts when they're not being used and work with that. So we're very desirous of this moving forward. We think it is going to be good economically from the business aspect of it. How the events go and what monies we make out of that and all of that kind of stuff, I don't know, but I know it's going to bring people to town when we have them. And I guess I would only have one question for all 7 of you. We're looking for a way to move forward as this group of 4. And if there's anything that is not clear in your mind right now that you need to know before you go into your meeting tonight to talk about this very issue and whether or not to approve it, please ask us now so we can clear it up.
I believe you're supposed to be staying and perhaps be a part of that discussion, or at least some of it. I think that they're going to want you back there after this meeting. They're going to talk and, I guess, bring you back and ask questions and get answers and try to jointly decide what's next. Isn't that my assumption, or am I wrong?
If you would like to join us, we did ask the mayor if he would, and we asked George Bailey if he would because he's the chairman, but you are the president or the chairman of this Magnolia group, so we would like you to be there. We would also like Tony to be there, and Brian Rutherford, our athletic director, and our principal to be there, and of course our Tina Meunier. And we did want to clear these things up because we have been badgered by them with the funding that got out in the public and through the press that we were also part of this amount of money, and we just can't afford for the public to think that's what we were using it for. And so it wasn't in any way to incriminate the other members of the partnership. It was a way to clear the air for people to know where we stood with the appropriated money we get from taxpayers. And I think that happened in the last hour. Do y'all feel that we had the opportunity to share our feelings, and they did with us? And we think it's a wonderful idea. Just like Mr. Pye said, it's kind of a win-win. But contracts are something that the school district just does. So we wanted to do it the right way at every step of the way. Do any of y'all have any questions for us?
Well, in their defense, it only says on the email to come to the workshop, not.
I'm sorry. It should have said
It
that.
should have.
And I noticed
Yes.
that when I looked to, the directions was to get the mayor and Mr. Bailey. And of course, my first question was, when I saw it, where are you? Where's Terry? Where's Eddie? Y'all should be there. And I made clear of that because I think it's important for the mayor and the county council chairman to know what we're dealing with in case they didn't already know, just to see the big picture. And we know we're in the same boat because they're at the same level they're at, so they can understand why they're asking the questions where you might think they're stopping, steamrolling what you're trying to do, or questioning that. That is not the issue. So it's just talking from like groups. But I think they're dependent upon you to explain to us what are the next steps, and what do we need, what do you need to be able to move forward? And then they can tell you what they can or cannot do, and that's the basis of discussion. I think that's important, so I think all of them need to be there.
All right, I do have a question about if we, like you said, where do we go from here? If we don't put in the turf and leave the field as is, or if we put in the turf, who is going to maintain? I'm not talking about today or tomorrow, I'm talking about 10 years from now when it's time to replace that field. Where is this money going to?
Mr. Barrow, you know the answer to that?
Self-sufficient. Guys, am I right? That's our goal, is for the stadium to become self-sufficient and be able to have events and things that help keep it where it is without coming to the school board for money or the district.
And that will stay in the Magnolia account, that Magnolia account will stay on forever and ever and ever?
No, so South Magnolia Event Group will stay on forever and ever. Our goal is to maintain the stadium. So we get any money the town, in the contract right now, the town or the county put forward, they make on the projects they have, all of it, 100% of their money they make in profit comes back to SMEG to do more projects. What you're asking for is 10 to 15 years down the road when we got to change the turf out. So I understand that, but what Kenny's pointing out is that they're going to be having more events over there. So what we asked for last time is for the school, from going forward once we get the turf, is to make sure we know that, you know, the school's is watching the maintained budget versus like Fort Dorchester's. You know, how much money can you put in the next go around? We're not asking this go around, but yeah. So we're not asking SMEG to come up with everything later, but we could. We might have that money, but I can't predict what's 15 years down the road. So in the meantime, I think like the more events y'all have there too, the more ticket sales y'all get. But I'm not asking you to keep track of it. It's not apples and oranges. It's not everybody going after everything. But to me, watch the cost from the next 15 years. Maybe even it makes sense for y'all to put it in at Fort Dorchester in 10 years once you see what the low cost was at Somerville. That's my point, even for Fort Dorchester.
And if I could just add to that, I just wanted to clarify that that's one of the contractual issues that will be discussed in executive session. If you look at the amendment that was set to you all for review for tonight, that's the primary clause that is at issue between the parties right now. So that's something that'll have to be discussed in executive session tonight in terms of funding that maintenance going forward.
You want to touch on that now or wait till executive session?
Okay. Anything else? Justin, you have something?
Yeah, just a quick clarification, because earlier it was brought up. I think there's some confusion out in the public, again, and we all have gotten the question. I think as board members, we understand the line in the sand between capital projects and then salaries and day-to-day operational costs. So we all understand that, but I think the general public probably doesn't. So when they read the paper and they're saying, oh, well, this money's going to the stadium, and then you're not paying teachers. So again, I just want to clarify that point, that those are two very, very separate and segregated pots of money. When you look at capital costs that could go towards this type of project versus our operational day-to-day costs, which contain our teacher salaries, healthcare, employment benefits, all of that stuff, very, very, very separate. And the way that we maintain those funds and have to account for those funds is completely separate. You can't bleed those over. So again, that's more for just public clarification, but again, I know that came up earlier, so I wanted to make sure and point that out.
Well, that was an important thing to point out. Thank you. Is there anyone else, Mr. Pye?
I'm through. That's how we ended. It was the next steps, and I think the next steps would be our executive session, maybe get more clarification, more direction, so we can all get about our business. And I apologize to the group and to the board about my involvement in this. I'm up to my neck in a pandemic, and frankly, that's all I care about these days, is trying to get my children safely back in school, our teachers, keep them healthy, and that is no small thing when none of the stars are lining up like they're supposed to. So every morning I get up to a different galaxy, and I know when Jimmy calls me and talks to me, I apologize if I sound like I'm not interested. I am, but the whole time you're talking, I am focused about what I'm doing about a decision I'm trying to make, and I'm sorry for that, but that's sort of been my lame excuse, and so tonight was partly for me to be able to get back in the mix and get things stirred up and moving.
Okay, thank you all for coming and listening in, and we will adjourn this workshop, and at 6 o'clock, we will begin our board meeting. Thank you.
Do they understand that the meeting is after?